NTR.
Goedenavond. Goedenavond bij een nieuwe reeks van College Tour. Onze gast was pas 27 toen hij doorbrak met zijn eerste rol als vrouwenverslinder in de film Looking for Mr. Goodbar. En daarna ging het pijlsnel naar boven en liet hij, zoals het cliché luidt, vrouwen, maar ook mannenharten sneller kloppen in bijvoorbeeld deze films.
The other night, I was with a woman, somebody's mother.
Pretty woman, walking down the street, pretty woman. Mr. Jones!
Fuck you. You came to me. I did not come to you.
Honest mister, I'm a millionaire.
The lift is up where we belong, where the eagles cry.
Al meer dan 40 jaar lang Hollywood's leading man. Samen met 700 studenten hier in Theater Tuschinski in Amsterdam interview ik acteur Richard Gere.
Hey, Twan, how are you?
Hello, how are you? Take a seat.
Very nice.
What do you think of the theater?
No, this is a beautiful. You told me it was a beautiful theater, and it is. But the people are even more beautiful. Look at all these wonderful, smiling people here. This is
We never
great.
had so many ladies in the hall. So
No, very sweet, very sweet.
take a seat. Does it look a little bit like the Kodak Theater in Los Angeles during the Oscars?
A little smaller,
It is much smaller,
a
isn't
little
it?
smaller,
Yeah.
but beautiful. Opera house, no?
It is actually built as a cinema.
Really?
Yes.
When?
Anybody knows here? In the back. 1921.
As a cinema.
Yes.
Wow, how great! Beautiful.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
It's the best theater we have in the Netherlands, I think. So,
We're losing all of these.
yeah?
I remember the last time I was actually arrested was in.
Arrested? How often have you been arrested in your life?
I'm counting.
Seriously, yeah?
A few times.
Yeah?
A few times, yeah.
Always for a good
Some I
cause?
can't tell you about, but
Yeah, we had many guests who had a criminal past.
no,
Okay,
no, sorry.
disappointing. What kind of student were you?
You know, it's funny. I've been thinking about this because I just got my son's report card back, and he just turned 13, so he's a teenager now. But the same day that he became a teenager, he got his report card back, and there was something called the ERBs, which is like the standardized tests they give all kids all over America. And he's doing very well. I never did that well.
No?
I told him, no. I was a terrible student, very mediocre.
But you did go to university in Massachusetts? Philosophy, I saw you studied.
Philosophy was my thing, yeah. For some reason, what was I? I was a major in philosophy and a minor in Greek for some reason. I don't know why. But then, when I was in college, I was taking a lot of theater and film courses. And
So where and when did you get the bug? When did you decide, okay, I want to be in film or
I
theater?
haven't quite decided yet.
Yeah, right.
It was fairly organic. I don't know that I made a choice. It was just something presented itself. I mean, nothing in life happens without giving it some energy. That's the way it is. So I enjoyed acting. I enjoyed making films. I was taking film courses when I was a kid.
And your parents, were they immediately, okay, that's a good idea?
No, they were they had no reference for it. My father grew up on a farm, on a dairy farm, milking cows. And although he's a very bright man and he's graduated from both my parents graduated from the University of Pennsylvania. They had no reference for someone who was going to be in show business or make movies or act or anything like that.
Right.
So of course they were frightened for me.
Would you advise kids? How many of you are studying theater, theater school, film school? Could you raise your hand?
Oh, a lot of kids.
Yeah. Would you advise these kids or your son? It's a great career. Try it.
Yeah, yeah, of course it is, but it's not easy. You know, there's a pyramid, you know, in what you do. You know, to make it to that point of the pyramid where you're able to make a living and be having choices that you can make that are good choices available to you. It's not easy. So you have to be very strong. Right. You have to be tough.
Let's see what these guys want to ask you. We have over 700 students here from all over the country. Please stand up if you have a question for Mr. Gere.
Is this a setup or is this spontaneous now?
It is spontaneous, and we had many remarkable scenes in this show, I can tell you. Somebody was asked, one female student actually asked our Prime Minister if he wanted to marry her.
And he said?
No.
No.
I've read in some interviews that in the past you've sometimes found it difficult to deal with the fame that comes with your acting job.
Well, I think I've gone through, everyone goes through, hopefully goes through a process where no one is by nature built to take that kind of attention. Nobody. And no matter how many times you've been told, you are not equipped to deal with it when it happens. And it takes many years of hard work, and it can be quite painful to come to terms with that. I don't even think about it now, to tell you the truth. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm very happy to be here in this situation, and I look out here at really interesting people, curious people. We're talking about things that I care about, and I think you care about, and that I feel very fortunate to be here.
When you were shuttled into fame, and the craziness started with
an animal reaction. The animal reaction of wanting to run away. You know, it's like someone shining a flashlight in your face. You know, you run away. Yeah, and come to terms with that and see, well, look, it's very rare that someone has something negative about me. It's all motivated by some form of love or affection, almost always.
Questions?
What's the strangest thing a fan ever did for you?
Or to you?
The
strangest
to
thing
you
a
for you.
fan ever did to you, or?
Strangest thing.
Or the craziest thing?
I'm trying to think of the strangest, craziest was a good story. Most of the stories are not happy stories, so I'm not going to be telling these. Unfortunately, I get stalkers.
Really?
And yeah.
Because I've always been fascinated by fans, what's their drive and things. So nothing.
Well, they're not well. They're unbalanced, most of these people, and it's just.
What is the most extreme situation you get in?
Well, there was one extreme. I'll share this with you. There was one very extreme case, and it was someone who was very good at getting me. Got my number through my agent, through my lawyer. Was that good on the phone, and finally got close enough to me. I thought, look, I don't know who this person is. I didn't see them. I didn't know. So I had to send a private detective and find out who it was. And it was the report came back. They found this person. She lived in, I think, in Miami. And he said, "There's the good news and the bad news." He says, "Well, the good news is she weighs about 600 pounds." So no one is going to believe you actually fathered her children, and
that was the claim that she made?
That was the claim, yeah.
Okay.
The bad news is that she works for a cold call company. She's a professional at this. And that the guy her employer, won't reprimand her or stop it because she's so good that his company would be destroyed, his business would be destroyed if he ever fired her.
So what did you do? Did you start a court case? Or?
She, to this day, has a dedicated phone number that she calls that is just for her. No one answers the phone, but she calls that number.
And then she waits for you to answer? Or?
My production company answers it, says you can't leave a message, blah, 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 but that's it.
For how many years has this been going on?
20 years.
So she is on a high phone bill already.
Yes, but she works for a cold call. It's the other guy pays for it.
Have you ever seen her, met her?
No.
No? And you don't want to?
No.
Okay. Yeah, we have a surprise. No, she's not here. Okay. There are a lot of young actors here in the hall. We have an interview with a Dutch young actor who is getting very successful, and he is an admirer of yours. Let's have a look.
Mijn allereerste film die ik van hem zag, was Pretty Woman. Het was me nog veel te jong om die film te zien. Het is me wel bijgebleven.
What do you want?
What do you do?
Everything. But I don't kiss on the mouth.
Neither do I.
Nou, ik vind het een hele intrigerende acteur, want hij doet verschillende dingen. Hij speelt in Chicago, Pretty Woman heeft hij gedaan, maar hij heeft ook The Jackal gedaan. En nu heeft hij een maatschappelijke thriller gemaakt. Volgens mij komt hij daar echt tot zijn recht, want het is echt een acteur die intrigeert, die iets heeft meegemaakt in zijn leven, want dat zie je gewoon in zijn ogen.
I know it's outside the charter, but it is fucking minting money. It's a license to print money for everybody, forever. It is God. I don't care about expensive things, cashmere coats, diamond rings, don't mean a thing. All I care about is love. That's what I'm here for.
Ik ben gewoon wel benieuwd naar of hij echt altijd trouw blijft aan zichzelf. Of af en toe toch ook echt dingen doet voor het geld of om een commerciële film te doen. Bijvoorbeeld zo'n film zoals Chicago. Dan vraag ik me af of daar heel veel geld voor is betaald. Of dat hij dat echt heel leuk vindt.
He really liked it.
Richard Gere, Chicago!
And I didn't even want to do this movie. That's what I know.
What was your hesitation with Chicago to do that movie?
I didn't like the stage production. I saw it on stage and I said, I don't think there's a movie here. I don't get it. And after the fact, I turned it down and the script was sent to me, and the script was absolutely brilliant. It figured out how to tell that story and bridge the book scenes and the music. And it had found a way to be totally inside this one character's mind, in Renee's mind.
Right.
And that everything was being projected out of this very naive mind. It was beautiful. It was beautifully conceived, very smart.
And you
very
got
effective.
the Golden Globe for the...
I did, yeah.
Yeah. And since it will be Oscar weekend, and many people in film have always wondered, why did he never get a nomination for an Oscar, Richard Gere? Do you have an answer to that question?
No, everyone keeps asking me that too. Of course I don't have an answer for that.
Are you pissed off because of it?
No, of course not.
Be honest. It must be terrible after almost 40, 50 years to not get it.
I can honestly say no. It's
No?
not a big deal. Honestly isn't.
I thought it was the holy grail for everybody in this industry.
I mean, it would be nice. I wouldn't say no, but it was like, is it really bothering? No, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me.
Questions?
I'm curious to know whether when you receive a role, whether you approach it differently in theater and in film.
You know, I honestly approach every project differently. Essentially the same, because I just want to be comfortable with the material. But each thing suggests another way of achieving that. I like to have a lot of time. I don't like it when I have to jump into something. And I like a kind of organic process of easing into this world or this character, whether it's on stage or in a movie.
And you do a lot of research as well?
A lot of research. To understand the kind of mental framework of a character is essential. How does their mind work? How does their heart work? How do they see the world? Do they lean into the world or do they lean away from the world? Music is another part, in terms of preparation for a character. I think there's music associated with it too, and the music is kind of in the dream realm. It's usually not obvious kind of connections, but mysterious connections in terms of emotions and thoughts, psychology.
You play yourself, right?
You know, I'd played trumpet as a kid, and then I think I put it away when I was about 15 or 16, and then relearned it to do this.
You still play?
Trumpet, no, but piano all the time. Piano and guitar all the time.
We have one here, actually.
Do you have enough money to pay for me to do piano? I don't think so.
Actually, I just read that you auctioned off your guitar collection.
Yeah.
Because your wife said,
Painful.
well, you have 100 in the house, or even more, and get rid of them. So we thought maybe we can make you happy with a really antique Gibson guitar from 1936. Well, it's not like a gift, but somebody...
It's not a gift?
No, somebody told me it's extremely expensive. I have no clue of these. Maybe you, as a connoisseur, know exactly what this is.
This is a... So this is probably... This could be a 20s.
Yes.
What year did you have there?
We heard it's from 1936. Does it sound like that? And it is a...
This is beautiful. I don't think I've ever seen a neck like this.
Gibson L Century 1936.
L Century? I never even heard of it. Where did this come from?
The Hague, a city in the Netherlands. Private concert. Take a seat.
Actually, it's really nice.
Yeah?
Sweet. Sweet. The action's high. Not bad.
You were just saying...
That's not a gift?
No, I'm sorry.
That's not a gift?
But
I can't believe that.
This is public television. And the budget cuts of the current government are dramatic, I can tell you. Over there.
Hi, you've had an amazing career, envied by many, I suppose, and you've had very different parts, very different movies. How are you able to do that? What is the kind of quality one must have to be able to be such a diverse actor?
Oh, you just play. You're still a kid, you know? Don't ever lose being a kid in the sense of being able to play. Don't ever get too serious. Because everything stops then. Creativity stops, fun stops, life stops. And actors have to have this. You have to have a sense of play, of being absurd. Make a fool of yourself. Play.
Over there.
I managed to read my Russian grandmother's diary about the Second World War. And I managed to get 3 scriptwriters to turn it into a movie script. And it turned out bigger than I ever thought. And it's going international now, and we got some international investors. And we're working on the casting at the moment, and I thought this was a nice way of asking what would be required to let you fulfill a role in the movie.
Yeah. Okay. We got your first Amsterdam script
about
here.
marriage or anything, just a role.
No marriage proposal, but a role.
Well, of course, yes, I'll do it. For nothing.
Okay. He believes you, I'm afraid.
You know, these are very, very difficult things I laugh about. First of all, you know, thank God there are people who just decide they're going to do it.
Right.
I'm going to write a script. Somehow I'm going to get the money to do it. Somehow I'm going to get actors to do it. And this is the way it happens.
Exactly.
The last film that I did that's opening here, Arbitrage, there's a director who had never directed before. He wrote this script over many years. It's a terrific script, brilliant script. He said, how am I going to get someone to do it? Well, he finally got to me with a script. I read the script through agents. I read the script, loved it. Decided reluctantly to see him because he'd never made a film before. We ended up talking. I started to actually believe. There was a confidence level that I arrived at with him, and I said, yeah, let's take a shot at this. Now, there's many steps along that road, but if you're really strong, if you're really tough, if you're a bulldog, and you've written a good script, you have a shot.
Do you have your script with you?
Yeah, digitally.
Is it in English?
It is in English, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, legally, I can't accept it, but he can.
Okay, I'll accept it, and we'll see what happens. What's
Great.
the title of your film? Because if it's going to be a success, we all want 10% of you.
Promise.
What's the title of your film?
Natasha.
Natasha. Sounds romantic. Okay, the blonde woman here. Yes, here in front of you. Yeah.
I am a PhD candidate in Buddhist studies, and I'm a trained Tibetologist. And I'm very concerned about the current situation in Tibet, and particularly the self-immolations. And I was wondering what your views and feelings on that are as a Buddhist, speaking from a Buddhist point of view.
What are your views?
I find it very emotional, very difficult to bear. But I was there in 2011, and I know that the people are absolutely desperate. And it seems like the only option for them, it seems the only way to get to be heard. But I don't think it's working.
Yeah. It's a very complex issue.
Yes.
I mean, even the Dalai Lama is finding it hard how to discuss this. You know, there's an organization of mine, the International Campaign for Tibet. We're based in Washington, but the first office that we started outside of Washington is here in Amsterdam. And I was just with them actually today for hours before I came in here. And obviously that was something that we discussed in detail. Yes, of course. I mean, whatever the action is, this is coming out of failed policies of the Chinese Communist Party. And Tibetans do feel that they don't have any other way of expressing themselves. Now, there are other ways for them to express themselves.
The New York Times published just a couple of days ago that now the 100th Buddhist has
over 100 now.
Over 100 now. We have a little clip of what is going on. Let's have a look.
And what these rallies tell me is that we care about human rights. The American people care about human rights.
Aren't you hopeless, getting hopeless, because till now these meetings haven't done anything for you and your people?
Yes, if you look at the situation locally, then hopeless. The problem is the new guest without proper invitation. And that guest come with gun.
According to the advocacy group Free Tibet, 28 people died from self-immolation in November alone.
다 체메비 랑루 미자다 데 체메비 링거 그 주니 할마진 링거 타슈도 혹시 타마로 레디요. 그래서 조선 마지에 진 람카 젬바지가 치네 보바니 기 쯤쯤이 서버리 임베노 아체 으투니 메틸라 타민dem까지 그 랑한테 메wen서 마추 람카 젬바지가 친로 그리 사미하다 보면 텔리마지 치수엔로 그리 사미하게 더 할리우드 섭체기요스.
The Dalai Lama was on our show as well a couple of years ago. It seems so hopeless, the situation. And even though you are saying it doesn't help self-immolation, but it's still happening today. And more and more
I'm
people...
not saying it doesn't help. I mean, again, this is an extremely complex issue. We could spend hours talking about this.
Right.
Maybe there are more effective ways, but this is the one they've chosen. And it's dramatic. And at root, they're saying, we care more about our religion and our culture than we do about our own lives. And in that sense, it's a message to the Chinese, too, that you cannot destroy us. You know, you would have to kill all of us to destroy that essential thing that we have as Tibetans.
So you can imagine the despair that people take this step.
Well, of course, but I mean, from their side, too, it's heroic. So we all have problems with this. The Tibetans themselves have problems with this tactic, and the numbers. You know, I think it's 101, 102 now, I forget the numbers. Just there was another one in Kathmandu.
More questions, please stand up. Over there.
I was wondering whether any moment or anything special has happened in your life which made you decide to raise awareness for HIV and AIDS?
Yeah. You know, I was living in New York, and this disease started emerging in New York in the early 80s. And it was called gay cancer at that point. And it was vaguely in the entertainment world, you know, vaguely dancers and musicians, actors. And it was primarily in the gay community, but not exclusively, but in the beginning it was pretty much there. It was friends of friends, people I'd heard about. Then it got closer. Then it was friends. And then very close friends. And it shook my world, shook all of our worlds. And then eventually one of my dearest, closest friends died in 2002. He'd been sick for a long time, but you know, had access to the very best medicines and the new treatments, but finally his immune system gave out and he died. It's, you know, beyond an illness, something like HIV touches so many different things in us, in society. I think it had a lot to do with breaking down a lot of barriers. Most horrible things have another side to them, and in this case, it was the gay community. It was. Can you imagine now that same-sex marriage is legal in so many places all over the world? This would have been unthinkable without going through that process of HIV/AIDS.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Gere, you have kissed some beautiful women in your career. I mean, really pretty women.
I have.
Yeah. So between us, did you ever mess up a scene on purpose so you can kiss her again, or? But I will totally understand.
I don't think I ever kissed a girl I didn't enjoy it. So.
Is that an answer to the question?
It was, actually.
Oh, yeah? I don't think so.
No, I don't think I ever did that. But I think there were times when they had to say, okay, cut. We kept going, cut.
Yeah.
Richard, cut.
There is this really famous kissing scene of yours, not so much famous on the widescreen. This is what happened in India in 2007 while you were kissing a very beautiful lady, a Bollywood actress.
Cheap shot.
Yeah. You were saying when this clip was running, this is?
I said it was one of the dumbest things I ever did. This was at a...
The actress,
not to kiss the girl, because Shilpa Shetty is a terrific, terrific woman. And when this happened, God, this is a long story. This was at, it was an AIDS event that I had organized with my group, which is the Heroes Project in India. And this was for truckers. And the largest trucking depot in Asia is outside of Delhi, about an hour and a half outside of Delhi. So there were, I don't know, 20,000 painted trucks and 50,000 truckers there and blah, blah, blah. And she was there and some other Indian actors, one in particular who made a career of just playing truck drivers. So it was for them. And this was at the end of the event. I don't think, frankly, that the truck drivers had any idea who I was. But I had, you know, had organized this thing with the help of a lot of these people, Shilpa in particular. And this was a very American thing to do. I was just dipping her and gave her a kiss. Well, when we got it from that, she said, "You have no idea what you just did." And I didn't know what she was talking about.
She knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, she knew.
Because?
Well, you don't kiss in public. Even in Hindi movies, you don't kiss. There's no kissing. I mean, the lips come that close, but it never quite happens. I think actually Shah Rukh Khan just broke that. Shah Rukh Khan is the biggest actor in India. Yeah. And he just kissed a girl on film, like months ago.
Which is a big taboo.
It was a huge thing,
But here you even got a court case because of this. I mean, it didn't lead to anything.
Well, there is a law, because of India being so multicultural and multi-religion, blah, 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 there's a law there that you cannot do anything that ridicules or is against the laws of any religions, or philosophy even. And there's an extreme conservative group that took umbrage with this, and they put lawsuits in many different states.
You're still allowed to go to the country?
I'm in and out now, yeah. Took a while, took a couple of years.
Really?
Yeah.
Any kiss questions?
Hello, Richard. I'm a filmmaker, and I do some research about the perfect kiss scene. And I was wondering, what's your best kiss scene you ever performed in?
You'd have to tell me. I don't remember much, to tell you the truth.
I think in Pretty Woman.
Pretty Woman?
Do you maybe want to act with me now, this kiss scene?
Am I going to be banned from Holland if I do this?
You could do this while smoking a joint. And nothing would happen.
Tell you what, I'll meet you back there after the show.
Come on, coward.
No, I'm not a coward at all.
Whoa.
Okay. So later?
Later, for sure.
Yeah.
In the dark, back over there.
Our nation is known for being very blunt people in the Netherlands.
That was very blunt.
Yes.
But that will probably make you a very good filmmaker, being blunt.
Yes? Are you serious? What is it? Why is it a
No, it's
a good thing
ballsy.
to
Of
have?
course, you have to be ballsy to make a film. You have to be, you're a director. Yeah. You got to be a bulldog to make a movie happen. It doesn't happen.
Yes, that's right, but it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, wait a second. How old are you?
I'm 24. So I'm not 16 or anything.
Which means it's totally legal?
Legal, yes.
Yeah, it's legal.
Okay, we set everything up for you now. Thank you very much for being here. Good. Okay. We have a little interview with the editor-in-chief of Elle magazine in the Netherlands, also an admirer, about your style.
Holland, you are a very, very pretty girl.
Wat Richard Gere zo sexy maakt is denk ik allereerst het fantastische uiterlijk. Dat is gewoon ontzettend knap. Daar kun je gewoon heel lang en breed over praten, maar dat is zo. Zijn lichaam, zijn stem, zijn ogen, de manier waarop hij speelt. Meerdere malen neergezet als een ideale minnaar. Het uiterlijk werd gebracht als hij met een vrouw in bed ligt. En zonder dat uiterlijk was hij natuurlijk ook nooit uitgegroeid tot sekssymbool. En als je kijkt naar alle rollen die hij gespeeld heeft, een beroepsmilitair, een gigolo, een rijke man die een hoertje uit haar beroep haalt. Allemaal dat soort rollen. Hij heeft een motor gereden. Het zijn allemaal archetypische vrouwenfantasieën. En hij geeft daar heel goed gestalte aan. Als ik denk aan de meest memorabele scènes van Richard Gere, dan staat op één toch wel die eindscène van An Officer and a Gentleman, waarin hij Deborah Winger optilt van achter de lopende band en haar in zijn witte uniform mee naar buiten neemt. Nou, dat is romantischer dan dat kan het bijna niet. Het ziet er eigenlijk uit als de voorkant van het boeketreeksboekje.
It's almost
Dat Richard Gere het vervelend vindt om als sekssymbool gezien te worden, dat vind ik een beetje gek. Dan had hij natuurlijk nooit zijn carrière moeten beginnen met American Gigolo. Dan had hij wat vaker zijn hemd aan moeten houden.
We used to meet in
Maar los daarvan, ook zonder blote bast, straalt het seksappeal ervan af.
Obviously an expert.
Totally. She's very wise. You were just saying the end scene of An Officer and a Gentleman. By the way, the film that every woman I know says is in the top 10, top 3 probably. You didn't like the end scene.
I didn't think we should shoot it. I thought we were making this really gritty movie. We worked really hard to be honest, and we were all young. I mean, it was Taylor Hackford's one of his first films, and I was really just beginning. She was just beginning. Deborah was beginning. We're all kind of tough, hungry actors, and I just thought it was so hyper romantic that it had no place in the movie. We went to shoot it, and Taylor Hackford and I were talking. I said, Taylor, you know, this is never going to be in the movie. It's never going to last. And so we don't have much of a schedule, we don't have much money, let's just blow this off and we'll shoot something else. He said, well, we're here, why don't we just shoot it anyhow? And, you know, then we've got it in the can. So we shot it, and obviously, I mean, we did it full out, and we did it right. But I didn't really believe in it. And then I saw an early cut. Taylor had me come in to see a cut. And it was strange. The music wasn't right. And the ending didn't work.
Joe Cocker wasn't...
No, it wasn't right. The tempo was wrong. And I came back and saw another cut, and he had slowed the tempo down just a little bit. And it had this other quality to it that made the thing work for me. I mean, I remember the hair on the back of my neck coming up watching the scene. And of course, it's the whole movie is in that scene.
You want to see it again?
No.
Is there anybody at the balcony who wants to ask a question?
Well, can I ask everything? Well, it's not, yeah, it's a little bit
You're
different
scaring
question.
me.
Well, I'm just a big fan, and can I go with the picture with you?
Can you have a picture?
Can I go with the picture with you?
Can you have a picture, as I was asking?
He wants to be in a picture with you, yeah.
Can he be in a movie with me or in a picture?
I assumed it was a photograph, but do you mean a movie or... No, you mean on camera, right?
Yeah.
A photo, yeah.
Yeah, so come down here, and as I'm walking out, we'll take a picture.
Yeah?
Yeah. Not now.
He's running already.
Slowly.
Yeah.
Slowly.
Okay, up here.
But in 2009, you played in the movie with a dog. How was it for you to work with a dog instead of a person?
Oh, I love that movie. This was a movie, you know, it was sent to me, and it was sent to me by my agent. He said, look, you probably won't want to do this, but it's such a good script, you might want to read it. So I read it, and I cried like a baby reading the script. And I put it aside, and I said, well, maybe something's funny today. I better read it in a couple days. So I read it again in a couple days. I was crying, too. And I went out to dinner with friends that night, and it was on my mind, and I started telling the story over dinner. And I couldn't even get through telling the story. I was sobbing so much. So I figured I had to make this movie. So I produced this movie and got Lasse Hallström to direct. The movie was about the dog. So every choice we made was to maximize the dog and how we could portray a dog and let it be a dog. Not a human being with dog clothes on, but a dog, whatever that is. I think we got some really amazing stuff of really seeing a dog, an animal, for the first time just be themselves.
Your latest movie is premiering in Europe, as in the Netherlands, Arbitrage. This is a clip of the film.
A dedicated businessman, a family man, a man I am very lucky to call my mentor and my father.
How much money do we need? Do you want to be the richest guy in the cemetery?
Come away with me. The situation would be manslaughter.
Half of the fund's assets are missing. There's a $400 million hole here.
That's ridiculous. You're looking at 1,000 years jail time. What am I supposed to do? Everything I do is for us, for this family. Now you're telling me how to run my business?
This isn't about your business, this is our life.
Arbitrage, again with Susan Sarandon, about a hedge fund manager who's...
She always has to play my wife, poor thing. I told her next time she can be my mistress, we'll have more fun.
Why do you consider it as one of your best movies?
I think it's one of the best ensembles I've ever worked with. All the actors, top to bottom. I mean, even the smallest parts, even the guys that just walk across the camera, are in their own universes and beautifully portrayed. It's a really good script. It's one of those scripts that Sidney Lumet would have made this movie 30 years ago. Speaks to our time, speaks to what's going on in the world now, speaks to a kind of mentality and ethical point of view that we really need to examine.
Lots of people hopefully are going to see it. You're almost out of time, so let's take one more question and then we're almost done.
Thank you. What would you consider to be your greatest personal achievement in your life so far?
My son, for sure. My son, who's just became a teenager.
Okay. What is so great about your son?
I was wondering which follow-up question will he do now, because this is not the answer you expected.
I know.
Yeah.
No, you don't have kids, obviously.
No.
But you realize when you do that's your treasure, is that, you know, and the best, you want to give your best to them.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask my father one day.
Yeah. No, you'll understand your father the first time. When you have a kid, well, then you will finally understand your own parents.
Okay, thank you.
He's shocked. Okay. We always end this conversation with, and you gave a lot of advice already, but what would be your best advice after such a long career in movie and in life as well to these guys here and the audience at home?
Look at all these faces out here. Well, first of all, everything is possible. Everything. You know, most people have so many voices in them going, well, you can't do that, no, you can't achieve that, no, that's not possible. It's not true. It's all possible. And it's not just one thing. Another thing, society tells us, well, you got to pick one thing, that's it. And then you focus on that, and you know, you'll have a career, you'll make money, that's also not true. A life filled with love, vast interests, continued curiosity forever, seeing yourself always as a beginner, that there's more to learn, more to do. When I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be thinking about movies, that's for sure. I'll be thinking about the love I was able to give and take. The lives I've touched that somehow made a difference. There's not much more one has to do than that. But I think the biggest thing is that it's all possible. Any positive dream you have is possible if you do the work. Nothing's easy. You just got to do the work. It takes courage, commitment, but it's all possible. Everything.
Richard Gere.
You always get such sweet people. Really?
It's a nice country, yeah.
Yeah, just sweet faces.
Yeah, no, it's a great audience. Yeah. Wait a second. Before you go, I don't know, are you a soccer fan by any chance? No? I'm asking because our next guest will be one of the top 3 soccer coaches we have in this country. Onze volgende gast is deze man, Guus Hiddink.
Ja, PSV niet. PSV pakt de Europa Cup.
Ik moet daar zorgen dat er gepresteerd wordt.
Australië naar het WK. En Hiddink, hij doet het. Hij doet het toch weer.
Oké, Guus Hiddink, de volgende gast in College Tour en ook actrice Carice van Houten. Meld je aan nu, kan nog steeds voor beide gasten en nog een heleboel die nog gaan komen. Thank you very much, Richard Gere.